Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm David. Let's talk about Survivor 47, Episode 6, The Merge.
I was going to say merge story, but no, it really is the
They
merge
really got
by the
there.
end there.
They got
we're
there.
there. We're merged. It's happening. But first, if you're new to this channel, please click subscribe and give this video a thumbs up.
And you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/nerdtainment.
Yes!
We made it. This is a moment for, resetting audio settings and making sure that we're talking into the right microphone, which
Good
hopefully
thing
you
I
can
did,
all hear us.
because we were on the wrong microphone. Sometimes I like to just double check.
Yes.
And good thing I did. All right. So we're coming off of Annika's blindside.
Blindside.
So Rachel's also blindsided here.
Yeah, so we're coming back and I actually, as much as Andy's sort of is messy so far and has annoyed me at times, it is kind of cool to see someone get a Survivor moment that they dreamt up in their mind, right?
Yeah.
I think his experience so far has not been what he thought Survivor was going to be.
Yeah.
But this one, he's like, that went exactly as I wanted it to, and it's so cool to be a part of a blindside, and he's just sort of on top of the world. So I'm happy for him that his experience has turned around, at least in this moment.
Absolutely. I mean, he was destined to go, and then and now he's in on the blind side.
Yeah.
No, this is great. This is really
and
good.
Rachel's now the one who's well, gulp.
She's like, how did this happen?
I really just thought that was the consensus. And I just wanted to be with the numbers, and we can talk. And he's like, we can talk. Yeah.
Right. I mean, she's saying that to Andy's face.
Yeah.
I went with the numbers.
Yeah.
And
thought were the numbers.
That's what you have to say, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's definitely apologizing, trying to,
But Sierra's also apologizing. She's like, Rachel, I'm sorry that we didn't fill you in on the vote.
As she should.
Yeah. Mend
because
fences.
she screwed over Rachel.
Yeah. So there's just a lot of this is a little bit awkward. But very quickly, boats are going to arrive the next day.
The next day, a boat pulls up, and it says, drop your buffs!
Drop your buffs. And specifically at Tuku Blue, it's drop your buffs, your fellow castaways will be joining you.
Coming, yes.
And there's a little mixed reaction. Sue's like, wait, what? They're coming here?
Please tell me why Sue jumped to, they're gonna go through my bag.
I love Sue so much.
When has this ever been a thing? Oh no, we're merging. The new people are going through my bag.
They're going through my bag, and I have to figure out this idol situation.
She is truly a paranoid person, right?
She is.
She is constantly worried.
Yeah.
So this is going to send her on a little more of a clean up the red paint nonsense.
Yeah. Oh, my Lord. And she is at the well, washing her idol. She's got her little canteen out there. There's still red paint kind of everywhere.
Well, now there's more.
Yeah.
She's touching it.
Yes. And then basically she's over there and she's trying to wipe the red paint off this idol, and she hears those boats coming up, and she's like, oh boy, I've run out of time.
Oh no.
Oh
Here's
God.
I'm like,
what am I
Sue.
And I'm like, you are literally red-handed again.
Yes, what are you doing?
Sprint into the ocean and wipe that thing off with some salt water. What's going on?
Honestly, I was like, Sue, what are you doing? But yes, here we are. The other two are coming up to Tuku Blue. Yep. Everyone is now together saying hello, blah, blah, blah.
Meet and greet on the beach. Everybody's, kikiing, having a great time. And Tiana's like, guys.
She's like, oh.
We have a sign.
There's a sign.
Read with all castaways together, or whatever it is. So they, unfurl this message, and it is, there's going to be a challenge.
Yep.
There's going to be an advantage.
Yep.
And it is hidden somewhere.
Literally
around.
Anywhere. No clues whatsoever.
And I love the way they edited this, where there was 3 or 4 seconds of and it kind of felt like nobody wanted to be the first to run. And then, boom, everybody's going.
Have you ever seen Guy's Grocery Games?
I know
with
it.
Guy Fieri.
Yeah.
He does a fun thing where he's like, ready, set, go. But he'll be like, ready, set, go to. Or he'll say a word that has the word go in it.
Okay, yeah.
And they don't understand that he said go. And there's this...
sure.
And then eventually they're like, oh, he said go. And that's how I felt this was. Because they were like, there's an advantage, go. And they were like...
Now?
Wait, go?
Right, because there's no gun going off.
Yeah.
Can I, what's a Goda?
I'll be accepting no further questions.
Got it. Yeah.
I was like, Gouda cheese, but that's not it, Sarah. That's not going to work. So, make up a word. Welcome to my brain.
But yes, they're like, do we go now? Okay, so then everybody's off running. And they're having a hard time, right? They're looking in the jungle.
I mean, are they having a hard time or are they not looking?
Right.
It was unclear.
It's a complicated situation because you're all looking at the same time, but you want to look in a way that nobody sees you find whatever it is, kind of thing.
And without any, like, real where.
Yeah. But for some reason, there's a big group around the well.
Oh, yes.
Okay. And they're kind of just... It seems like they're just kind of idling, like maybe the initial racing, they're just all tired now. And so they're like, let's take a breather. Like nobody's finding anything. And they congregated around the well.
Yes.
And then there just is some sort of like half-hearted moving things.
This?
What's this red stuff on the well? And then red stuff on this plant. And then there's red on that tree.
And they're
what
digging.
Is this? And they're all thinking like maybe this is the clue.
Yes. We're looking for an advantage.
Yeah.
What is this red paint? They fully dig up the shattered pottery.
The whole pottery.
That is soaked in red paint. Now, obviously, this is not an advantage, so what the heck is this?
They are all now covered in red paint.
Yes.
Like, there are all these close-ups of hands just doused in paint. And I'm like, this is the paint that will never go away. Like,
no.
They're all covered in it now, and they all think, like, oh, we're on to something. Like, we found this whole thing.
But they're going to realize, like... But it's something that's already been found.
The pot is shattered.
The pot is shattered.
So who found what's in the pot? And Caroline and Tiana are like, flashing back in their mind. Remember that day we walked up on Sue.
And we were like, Sue, what's going on?
And she told us that she cut herself with a machete.
She bit her tongue. I would play with the machete and I bit my tongue. What? But now it's coming together. Maybe that was red paint on her chin.
Credit to both of them. They are sort of mum about it.
Yes.
And they're both like, we're going to approach Sue separately. So we see a great moment of Caroline being like, proud of you.
Yeah.
And Sue's like, what are you talking about?
Well, first off, in Caroline's confessional, she was like, that's my girl.
Yeah, right. She's like, I'm not telling anybody.
Yeah. And she's like, and Sue's like, what? What?
Proud of me for what? And she's like, I know
like,
you found the idol.
We don't have time for this nonsense.
Yeah.
It's obvious what has happened. And Sue's like, oh, okay, great. Let's keep this a secret. And then Tiana hasn't really said anything yet, but she's like, I think I know what happened. Yeah. Now, meanwhile, we
see, who is it, Genevieve and is it Gabe or Sam?
No, it's Sam.
Sam. Genevieve and Sam wandering around. Oh, look out in the ocean.
Is that a buoy?
What's that buoy? Oh, you know what? It's just a buoy.
Sam,
just a random buoy.
I will ever forget that you said that's nothing.
It's just a buoy.
It is a buoy at your camp on Survivor?
I just want to be very clear with the audience here. Buoys are not naturally occurring.
They're not naturally occurring, nor are they at the camps. Like, you had a camp, the other groups had a camp. Everyone has a camp. And no one had a buoy.
This is not debris from a shipwreck.
Nope.
It's not some sort of safety thing like, oh, don't go beyond this buoy, there are sharks. Like, that's not a thing on this island. So that's there for a reason.
Luckily, Genevieve is going to think about this.
But it takes her a minute too long for me.
Sam, I will never forget.
I'm like, Genevieve.
You just let it go.
You pondered that for way too long before you did this. And she's like, oh boy, here I go. I'm going to get all wet for nothing. And I'm like, no, you're not. Like,
I love that. We're not there yet, but like, I loved how real she was, where she was like, oh, dang it. But first we're going to, oh wait, no, I'm jumping ahead.
No, we are there because she swims out. She takes all her clothes off.
Wait, what?
She goes, yes, this is all here.
Oh, yeah.
She
Genevieve
swims
going back
out
to the
because
buoy.
it's
I can't read my
pre-challenge.
notes. Yeah,
so
you're
she
right.
swims out and she finally gets there and she's like, "Oh, this is something. Oh my God, here is this thing." Okay.
Wait, let's stop because I loved this from her.
Okay.
She was like, "Ugh, I can't stop thinking about this buoy," and I'm like, "Yes. Why would you walk away from it?"
Yeah.
But she's like so mad if she gets wet and it's nothing.
Right, because
And
she's gonna be
that's-
like, "How am I gonna explain that I went out in the ocean?"
I just feel like that was so real.
I guess.
I'd be like mad I was wet too.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Just
Like, I gotta
generally
get
being wet.
Yeah, I gotta get wet for this. If I have to get
Okay.
wet for nothing.
My reading of it initially was that she was like, "I'm going to be busted because
Well.
I'm wet." And I'm like, who cares? Everybody knows everybody's looking for the advantage.
Yeah, exactly. You can play
But it's
it
just
off.
being wet.
But no,
that is
she would
real.
just be wet.
Yeah.
She's in shorts and a shirt.
Yeah.
She's like,
Fair.
"Oh, I'm gonna get wet,"
and then I have
was
to
like,
dry off again.
Yeah, I felt that.
Okay, that is real.
But I was
she
like,
swims
go
out.
with it.
She gets the advantage.
Yes.
Comes back. Just tells everybody right
Yeah.
away.
Which you should.
Yeah. And they're all like, "Let's hear it." And it's, of course, like nothing. It's just like, you found the advantage. It'll be revealed at the challenge. So.
And we never know because sometimes these advantages are dumb.
Mm-hmm.
They're not good advantages. So she has that. Everybody knows. Now, the next day is this? I have a break here, so maybe it's just a commercial break. But anyway.
Okay, yeah. Still like camp stuff.
Yeah, camp stuff because Kyle
Oh, right.
and
This is the next day.
Rome.
Because it was all flashing back to like
Yes.
first night with Kyle and Rome on the beach.
Yes.
Rome's just going around
Rome's got to do Rome.
doing Rome.
Yeah.
This is classic Rome. But people on other tribes don't know that this is classic Rome yet.
No, right.
And he's taking advantage of that.
Right. He's like getting to know people, right? That's what the conversations feel like. And Kyle is like, let me chat with Rome. I'm going to tell him some things about my people.
I'm just going to tell him.
Camp with.
Rome is definitely leading the witness in this conversation where he's like, who's the biggest
And
threat?
What do you think about Tiana?
Yeah, exactly. Because I think Kyle says something about Gabe, right? Or was it Sam? I forget. Kyle throws out a guy.
Gabe. Mm-hmm.
And then Rome's like, but what about women?
Right.
Who's the most dangerous woman?
Right.
And Kyle's like, oh, no. And he's like, do you think it's Tiana?
Right.
It's like very...
He was like, do you think Tiana might win this game? It was very leading.
And Kyle's
absolutely.
like, I don't know, I guess.
He's like, yeah, she has a great chance. It sounded like he was just being polite.
Yeah.
Like, she could win,
Yeah.
sure. But he's like, Sue and Caroline, like, he's just kind of giving out information.
Yeah.
But, you know, Roma's doing this for a reason. So he's going to now continue to talk to people.
He's going to go to Sue. And he's going to say, so Kyle was throwing your name out because he says you and Caroline are like thick as thieves.
Yep, you're the duo. It's you guys.
So I got to watch out for you.
Yeah. And
he's,
she's like, thank you for telling me that. Why would he say that?
Yeah, she, I think, is a little more like immediately on the defensive. But Rome goes to Tiana and she's like, this doesn't really add up. Kyle's my guy.
Right.
Why would he be throwing... Like, she's a little more skeptical, which I appreciated. But it just takes Saul to get looped into this whole thing.
He
And he's
literally
like,
is like, oh, no, this is what he does.
let me tell you about Rome.
Yeah.
Because I've been living with Rome. And this is such... I love the way he handled this.
Yeah. Because it was just so
All
natural.
he had to do was plant a seed. This is how he plays the game, you guys.
This is it.
He's probably going to come around and like do this. And then he does that,
Yeah.
you know, like Saul explains exactly how this is going to play out with Rome. And then it plays out that way. And so everyone's like, oh, wow. Yeah.
And
okay.
Saul's like, you just have to fact check. Like, you just have to check in because this is what Rome does.
Yeah, he's like, he just stirs the pot.
And Saul's just talking from experience. Like, I checked in with Genevieve and Teeny, and we found out this is just what Rome does.
It's the purest gameplay.
Yeah.
Because there's no manipulation here.
Right.
He's just saying exactly how Rome is.
Yes.
And then all the boxes are checked as people continue to interact with Rome.
And then Saul is going to volunteer to help the situation. So he goes to talk to Kyle.
Oh, yeah.
And
he's like, so Rome told me this. And Kyle's like, say what?
Oh, he's like, that is not how that conversation went.
And Saul's like, this is how this guy is, just
Yeah.
so you know. So be careful about things you say to him because he's going to twist it and use it against you. So Kyle goes to the well. And I was like, I'm obsessed with Kyle. So Kyle goes to the well and he's hot. And I'm like, play it cool a little bit.
Dial it down.
Like, don't overwork yourself here. But
Yeah.
he's like, I'm going to squish that guy like a bug. And I want him out. And he goes to the And he's basically like, F Rome.
Yeah.
When he gets to the well.
I was like, uh-oh, Kyle. I was like, dial it down just a smidge. Like, you just never know when it's merged and everyone is together for the first time. Like, you really do have to be careful coming in hot. Because so quickly people will be like,
what's his deal?
Kyle is the only one throwing out a name. And you're what?
Yep.
But, you know, it seems like most people are kind of just nodding along at this point.
Well, and I do love how Kyle was like, you guys, like, you all know I'm just the nicest idiot here. And so I just was having a conversation with this guy. And now he's throwing all this stuff out. And people are like, you are a nice idiot.
And people are like,
that tracks.
Confirm. Kyle, the strategic genius.
Yeah.
That's what they were saying. They were like, yeah.
But so sweet. They're like, you know what? You are a good-hearted person. And we believe that you would innocently say something to Rome that he would then twist. Like, all of these things are making sense.
Right. It does feel that way if Kyle is the one delivering that story.
Yeah.
Okay, now
Immunity reward.
Can go to the challenge.
So it's still this sort of like murgatory thing, right? So of course we have an odd number of people and we have a 2-team challenge. So Genevieve's advantage is revealed that she gets to sit out of part 1 of this challenge.
Oh, this is a good advantage.
It's an amazing advantage.
I was like, yep.
She automatically gets the meal. She doesn't have to get covered in mud.
Nope.
And she'll just get to compete against 6 other people for individual immunity.
I was actually doing the math because I was like confused because he was like 6 people and 6 people. And then he was like 1 person will be safe and 12 people up for elimination. And I was like, Jeff, what is the math here?
What is this, the SAT?
Because I forgot that Genevieve was out. Because then we get to Genevieve. And he's like, Genevieve, you aren't going to do it. And I was like, okay, now the math is math.
That's the math.
But Jeff, don't make me do math during Survivor, okay?
Now we get these 2 teams. Mm-hmm. I immediately was like, yellow better win. Because yellow's got Sierra, Rachel, Sam, Sue, Teeny, and Kyle.
And then what, you love them?
Blue has all the villains.
Oh.
Rome, Gabe, you know, I'm like, I want blue to lose. I want yellow to win.
I just felt like yellow might have been slightly stacked.
For sure. Sam, Kyle,
Rachel
for a puzzle. Like, it is a stacked team. Sue, I'm obsessed with Sue. So I really wanted yellow to win.
And Sierra and Teeny, I feel like, are good challenge people.
It's a good team.
So I was like, ooh, I just felt like yellow was stronger.
But my God, did blue really come through in the endgame? I mean, here's what I'm going to say about this season. The challenges are... The tribes, the way teams fall, it's been so evenly stacked all season. So many of these challenges have been neck and neck. I mean, let's discount the Rome puzzle situation. Oh. But, like, it was so neck and neck up until the ramp.
Yeah.
You know? No team was, like, so far ahead through the mud of it all or the, like, grappling hook, pulling up that heavy bag. Like, they were just right there in it, both teams.
But we do have to say that this is different because this was the first schoolyard pick.
Oh, was it?
Yes.
Oh, I missed that detail.
David.
Who were the team captains?
Exactly. They didn't show us. Jeff says, for the first time in New Era history, we're going to do a schoolyard pick.
Oh.
Cut to commercial, and we came back to the teams.
Then how do we get these lopsided teams?
Well, so what we learned from the internet post the show is that Teeny and Tiana pulled team captains.
And Teeny ended up with Kyle and Sam?
So what happens is they pick the first person.
Uh-huh.
So I believe Teeny got first draw. So she picked, I believe, Sam.
Okay.
And then Tiana picked, I don't know. And then that person picks the next person.
Okay, interesting.
And so it goes down the list that way. I do know that Sue and Andy were the last 2 picked.
Uh-huh.
I believe Andy was the lasty.
Yeah.
But we had to learn that afterwards because for some reason Jeff was like, history, I'm not going to show you.
I'm not going to show you this. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah.
He claims on his podcast that he didn't have enough time.
Oh, sure. I thought we had 90-minute episodes now.
I don't understand time
I guess
Jeff.
Not. Anyway, I definitely was having flashbacks to poor old Bruce with this, like, diving under the
mud thing.
The mud thing. I was like, do not hit your head. And people really were just, like, throwing themselves head first into this mud. So that made me very nervous. But
and a lot of them were
got
covering their eyes and then throwing... Smart, but then you're throwing your body.
Then you're blindfolded. Yeah. But they're all...
But they make it through.
Covered in mud.
Covered
the producers
in mud.
love this
They
stuff.
love it.
Then they have to go through this, like... wood shreddings thing.
Oh,
like,
right. So they're
like
with
tarred
wood
and
chips.
feathered.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're muddy and wood chips.
Yeah.
But like you said, even until we hit this wall, and the wall is always just so
It's
hard.
tough.
So
it's
hard.
tough. And even we're saying yellow is such a stacked team, but they're the team that has to do the sandbag thing.
Yeah, they're not getting up the wall. Blue's doing a much better job getting up the wall.
Yeah.
Yellow's going to stack those sandbags, which takes a little bit of time, but honestly...
A little bit of time. We do see Blue, like Gabe
smart.
jumps down and gives Caroline a boost.
Yeah.
I loved that, like, teamwork. And it was
Absolutely.
one of those great moments where Andy's being held over the edge, anchored by all these people at the top, and they're just doing, like, full human, chain kind of situation to get everybody up on the Blue side, which I love to see.
Yes.
I was watching this yellow moment with the sandbags, and I'm like, they are wasting so much time doing these sandbags, but it ended up being okay. I mean, Blue did get to the puzzle first.
Yes, Blue's going to get to the puzzle first because they are getting up the wall, but I was like, if you have to go get the sandbags, go get the sandbags because this wall is so difficult, and I am not going to sit here watching Teeny
or Sue
try over and over and
no,
over again.
No.
Like, I can't, my heart can't handle it.
No.
So they're going to get up shortly after Blue, but good for Yellow because...
Well, because you have Rome and Gabe on Blue,
Rome
who
is
are
on the
literally doing this with the table maze. They are jerking that thing left and right.
Once again, Rome is in the hero position. And...
Signed up for it.
Is not going well. Again, the edit is showing us that it's not going well. They're arguing, they're all over the place, but I have to say the finish was close.
It was. You're right.
So
they were both at the end of the maze at the same time.
Yeah.
And to your point, once again, Rome is in the driver's seat. Once again, Saul is playing backseat driver.
Oh, yeah.
And
I'm comfortable here.
I'm going to call this out now. And if you have time in your elimination interview with Saul, I want you to ask.
Oh, boy. Gotta take notes.
Did he... I'm like, are you not volunteering and then just having notes when people aren't succeeding? Like, what's going on? You seem to have a lot of thoughts from the sidelines. So why are you not stepping up to be the one?
Right.
Is that a strategy is what I'm wondering.
Look, we saw the one strategic talk. We saw Saul fight for it. And Rome say,
True.
I'm going to be mad if I don't get this.
True.
But that was episodes ago, so we don't know if that has continued.
Yeah.
We don't know if they were like, no, go ahead, Rome. You go right ahead.
Yeah.
We don't know, but if I remember,
I'm fascinated to
Saul.
know. Because Saul always has a lot of thoughts from the background.
He does. Of course he has thoughts. I do think he would
and
have
Gabe is
preferred
like,
to be there.
Bro, thanks.
Bro,
we got
thanks.
it.
We got it.
That really is not helpful.
To the point that Saul's like, Jeff, can I swap in?
And
May
Jeff's
I?
like, no.
He's like, no, that is not part of this. Not at all. I mean, that doesn't help. If I were Rome, I'd be pissed off,
No,
too.
I would be too.
Yeah.
We have Kyle and Sam on the other side. And I actually thought there was like one shot where it almost looked like Kyle and Sam were like shoulder to shoulder, which I kind of loved that.
Yeah,
I don't know if that was a strategy, but it's like
we
are in this, and like you can almost feel the other person move it, and it's just like you're more connected. So I was like, I liked the closeness of them working on this together. But I would say were just overall calmer in the process.
They were, and Jeff is pointing out like Blue is communicating, and Yellow is not.
Oh, opposite.
And did Jeff say you got to work with the idiot next to you?
He did. He said, you don't have to only worry about yourself. You got to worry about the idiot next to you.
I was like,
I would have dropped that handle and said, Jeff,
sir,
who are you calling an idiot? I just need to know exactly which one of these four people you're saying is an idiot right now.
First off, I would have just filed that in the back and be like,
brought it up at Tribal,
at
maybe.
Tribal, Jeff. We will be circling back to this. But also, I thought that is like us getting our villain edit because that is what would slip out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, I also related to it. Just, whoops, did I say idiot?
Oh, did I say that out loud? That was a head thought.
Your partner. You have to worry about your partner. But what came out was your real thoughts, which was idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I felt like.
I also love throughout this challenge when they cut to Genevieve and she's like, good job, guys. You got this.
She's like, I feel really that.
Yeah, she's like, I feel kind of guilty that
But
I'm
y'all
just
are
sitting
doing
here.
good.
But of course, yellow wins. And I was rooting for them. I was thrilled. The thing falls in. Those 6 plus Genevieve are now going to go to this challenge. And it's so funny to see them all in a line on these like balance beams with their handled curved thing with their balls. Everyone's covered in mud except Genevieve.
The first chef's like, all right, you 6 losers, go sit down. I was like, they have to just sit there in like this dried mud. That's disgusting.
Oh, it's like caking to their bodies in the heat.
I felt like that was worse.
Yeah.
Then the other 6, now have to compete individually in the mud. And Genevieve's like, what?
Oh, what? Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Me with my gorgeous white teeth and my
teeth could not be whiter.
Flawless outfit.
Oh, my God. But did you notice it looked like Where's Waldo? Because she was wearing red stripes.
It was not hard to find Waldo.
It was like a gray C and then Waldo.
Yeah. So, it's the balance beam. They're going to move down into different sections, and they have to balance this ball on this sort of like curved wooden thing.
The bow.
We were actually discussing, I was over at a friend's watching, and we were discussing, would you go underhanded or overhanded in holding it? Because we saw both ways. I think I would do it like driving a car. Yeah. Overhanded.
I felt like I would just naturally go underhanded.
Underhanded?
I wonder if someone smarter than us has figured out the better way to do it.
We, as this challenge started, again, at this little viewing party that I was at, people were like, oh, who's going to be first out? Sue. And as soon as she wasn't, every person who went out, I was like, Sue's still in it. Sue's still in it. And she gets down to final 2.
Look at Sue. You showed those people, David.
It was my 2 faves, Sue and Kyle in the end. I was like, this is a win-win for me. Although I really wanted Kyle to win because he had no vote.
Oh, true. Yeah. So Sierra's actually going to be our first out. Then Sam. I was like, well, the 2 of you. I was kind of
surprised,
What's up with that?
Yeah.
Then they're going to do the whole, like, move down a section. Then we're going to lose Rachel, Genevieve, and Teeny. That leaves us with Kyle and Sue. We're going to move down to one more section. Yeah. And Sue is going to drop it.
It was a great edit where, like, Sue's struggling, and it's, like, 5 more seconds on that sort of second to last section of the thing. But she makes it. And they both, I noticed, had a strategy of sort of tilting that arc that they were holding the ball on. Sue's was tilted toward her. Kyle's was kind of tilted away. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder if that provides some sort of extra level of friction or something. I don't know, to hold the ball in place. But they had their little one-on-one battle, and ultimately Kyle did win it. I mean, I thought it was going to be one of those edits where Sue's struggling. Oh, God, great save. Oh, can she do it? Oh, Sue's all over the place. And then out of nowhere, Kyle's going to drop.
Right.
But ultimately, he was just pretty steady throughout. And he's the winner of the first
I kind of like this for Kyle because, like, he hasn't been a strong strategic player. He's kind of, like, started to move towards the bottom. But he seems like just, like, a nice guy, maybe not, like, a strong player. Yeah. And so he might end up being, like, competitively dominant.
Oh, yeah.
That's cute.
I love it. I love it.
A country boy will.
And it's just fun to see, obviously. The producers know that this makes a great story, to see someone who's been, like, in trouble, right? Yeah. Because Rome's been like, oh, Kyle this, Kyle that. And now Kyle's not an option.
Right.
So what are we going to do when we go back to camp?
Whoopsies.
Turns out it's a pretty clear plan when we get back to camp.
So we're going to start with the feast, right? The feast winners. We're going to have, it's not a merge feast, but it's like a winner's feast.
Teeny's
David.
going to chug that bottle of wine.
Teeny got straight drunk.
Her eyes were like rolling back in her head.
Teeny, you are in the online community. You've watched this show before. What are you doing?
They're like, Teeny. We're cutting you off. And she's like, I'm going to need some water.
She's like, I'm going to need a buddy to help me get through tribal. I was like, it's sober before tribal. Oh my God, what if you become the target? What? I was so terrified.
So funny.
But riddle me this.
Okay.
Sam doesn't know what an heirloom tomato is.
No.
But he knows what charcuterie is?
Oh, he's been craving charcuterie.
No. 100% not. A producer.
Right?
Got that out of him.
We
somehow.
literally were laughing at that. We were like, no, sorry. You crave burgers. You crave pizza. You crave hot dogs. Nobody craves a charcuterie board.
No. He was like small slices of salami,
right,
and cheeses I can't
exotic
pronounce.
cheeses.
No, sir.
That's not what you're craving.
I was
I
like,
promise.
this edit is not
You're craving
working for me.
chocolate.
Yeah. Okay, what else happens here? They're like, Rome, right? Rome is it gonna be Rome, and everyone's like, we're cool with that.
Yeah, and if not Rome, Andy.
Now this is gonna come back and backfire at some point, but we get the Andy as a backup, and Sam's like, okay. And I was like, whoa, you didn't handle that well at all.
Sam likes Andy.
Yeah.
He's like, I like having my numbers, so don't come for my numbers.
But he says it publicly. That's not good for you, Sam.
Now, what is happening over on the losers' side, Sarah?
The losers, first off, we do get like a short leg. It's Rome. Right? Good. But then Rome is like, well, I got to get to work, right? My guy Kyle's out.
Yep.
Who's it going to be?
What am I going to do?
Well, you know what? I don't like Saul.
Yep.
How about I target Saul? And he's going to start his mastermind play, his Michael Jordan play.
Oh.
To get Saul out.
It is Michael Jordan. I did not get the sports reference fully of Michael Jordan versus I don't know who he's saying, but the implication was like, it's Michael Jordan versus like a child is what he's trying to say. And he even goes so far as to be like, this isn't even hard. Like, this is the easiest thing I've ever done in my life.
Was there someone at your party that could explain the sports reference to you?
Absolutely not. We were all gay men. Yeah.
And honestly, Douglas wasn't watching with me, so I didn't follow it either. I got the first part because it was like, was it Michael Jordan, Larry Bird? Somebody versus Larry Bird, and then the second one... And then I was like, I lost you there, buddy. But anyway, yeah, mastermind play coming at us right here.
But he's out here peddling his plan to people. And everyone is just smiling and nodding. Of like, yeah, totally, yep, Saul. And I mean, apparently doing a great job of making him feel comfortable. And like he's in charge. Because then they, literally every single one we see turn around in private and be like, it's Rome.
But it's
like,
Rome, right?
Everyone is aligned.
But yeah, they did. They were like, when Rome was like, I don't like Saul, and they were like, oh yeah, well let's do Saul then. Absolutely, that sounds like a good idea. I think they did a great job.
And it all goes back, I think, to earlier when Saul was planting those seeds, where Rome comes up and he's like, I don't like Saul, and people are like, oh, you don't say.
Yeah, we're like we picked up.
We
on that.
know Saul told us about you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you're right.
Everybody kind of sees through his BS here because Saul has done a good job of like.
But Rome is doing what you do, right? Like he's used to a smaller tribe.
Yeah.
Everyone is. But now he has more people to talk to. It takes more people for this vote.
Yeah.
And he's making the rounds. And he's like, here's why Saul and I don't work. I want to vote out Saul. And people are just telling him what he wants to do.
They're yesing him.
Yes, absolutely. And then we're seeing the sly, like...
But it's Rome,
right? And then we only get a glimpse or like a little soundbite of Saul learning that the backup is Andy. He's going to do that, is what we hear.
And I wonder if it was just like some sort of like idol play.
Yes.
Like we need a couple Andy votes so that, because Saul is obviously going to get one vote from Rome.
Yeah.
So we need a couple on Andy as the backup just in case Rome has something, which is a fair fear,
especially
because Rome has had 2 advantages already.
I'm sure that has been out. Rome has already played 2 advantages, and we've got so many people. There's no reason why you don't throw a split a vote, throw in other votes. Yeah, absolutely not. So but that's smart.
Going into tribal, I was like, there's still a fair amount of time left, like in this episode, but this does not feel complicated at all. It is one of the clearest, like first merge votes I can remember in the new era, especially.
So I had 2 thoughts about it, because usually when it is a clear, easy vote, we know that that's a decoy. That's not what's
That's what I started to think. I was like, is there some twist happening?
But the edit was so beautifully showing us the contrast of Rome masterminding Saul going out. They've got him lounged again on a rock, and he's doing his sports references, and he's saying, I'm playing on a whole other level. And because he's able to get out Saul, who was one of his original, like,
rivals. Yeah.
He's like, this is a vote out for the ages. I'm going to win this. And because they're editing that contrast with like the jokey music.
Yeah. That's the thing.
That's
I felt the same way, Sarah. Like, it was a big, long Rome monologue going into the walk to tribal. And it was like, dum, da-dum, da-dum, da-dum. Like, it was that kind of music. And I'm like, they are setting this guy up to get dunked on.
Yeah. When you're like, I'm masterminding, but the music is like, da-da-da,
Yeah.
da-da-da. You're like, no, that's not mastermind music. Cut to people being like, we're taking out Rome, right? So I was like, even though it seems like it's easy, I think they're trying to be like, but he's living in this world while everyone else is living in this world, which is super entertaining, I have to say.
Yeah. But then this tribal becomes just Rome Central. It is like the ultimate Rome send-off. Well, this whole tribal experience where the amulet comes up and Rome's like, it's actually a curse, that thing. And Jeff's like, well, walk me through it. And Rome's like, give me your chair.
Okay, first off, we agree. The amulet's a curse.
Yeah.
He said what we're all thinking.
Yeah.
But
especially because all three of them went back and just told their whole tribes the truth. Yeah.
Right. And they have to. They're like, we have to play it right now. It cannot, like, we can't carry this on our shoulders. And that is smart because it is not an advantage. It's a disadvantage. But I would never say that to Jeff's face, especially if I were playing Survivor, because Jeff has control over my life.
Yeah.
He has control over my edit.
Oh.
He has control if I ever play this game again. Jeff has absolute control over all these players. So the fact that you can like bravely say that to him, I was like, Rome's confidence off the charts.
Off the charts.
But it pays off because if Jeff said to me, come sit on my chair and host Tribal.
Oh, would you like to be the executive producer of Survivor?
I'd be like, yes, Mr. Probst, I would.
He sits down and honestly does a great job of laying the whole thing out.
100%.
And everyone's just watching, like, sort of in disbelief of, like, you have got to be kidding me. I think this man is so confident.
Yeah, I think if they had not known he was leaving, they'd have been like, what the what? But because they knew that this was his last 5 minutes.
They're like, let him have it.
They're like, look at you.
You go.
Look, this is amazing.
Yes.
Loving this.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, honestly, as people who work in the same field as Rome, I would have not done as well as he did.
No, he did an amazing job.
Yeah, he really did.
And he's a great, I mean, if not to get ahead of ourselves, but if you guys have not seen Rome's exit interview, it's fantastic.
Please do.
The man, Sarah says 3 words to prompt him, and he is like just an Energizer bunny for like 90 straight seconds, just going.
He can speak.
He is a talker, and he does a great job sitting in Jeff's seat. Everyone is like, kind of like, hats off to you. Yeah, you explained that beautifully. And even Jeff is like, okay, I'll hand it to you.
He is like, well, I will go back to the producers and we will talk
and
about
Rome,
this.
I think it's like we were talking about earlier, how Andy gets this beautiful Survivor moment of like, oh my God, finally I got to participate in a blindside and this is what I dreamed of. This is, I think, even more than Rome could have dreamed of.
Oh,
I don't know that I've ever seen someone sit in Jeff's chair and give a monologue about how something that these producers worked really hard to cook up is actually a bad idea and is justified in the way that he explains it.
No, never happened.
It's an awesome moment. And Rome is emotional afterward and like tearing up. And he's like, I think in the moment, he's probably like, if that's all it is, that was worth it.
Probably, but he was like, this and I'm going to win?
Yeah.
This is incredible.
Yeah, right.
My Survivor experience is even more than I thought it was going to be. I think that's what he was thinking.
For me, like this moment where Rome is sitting and realizing what he was just able to do. Yeah. His exterior cracks a little bit and you see sort of his inner child of like, oh my God, dream come true. That's the coolest thing that's ever happened to me. I'm like getting chills just saying that. Like, that's really, I'm glad Rome got to experience something like that.
Absolutely. Ultimately. And I was like, okay, so he's definitely going because this is all happening.
Oh, yeah.
It's his goodbye tribal. But I was so excited for him to do that. He got that moment. But to be honest, even though I don't think Jeff realized, what he was doing, he was like lulling
into a
Roman
sense of
to
security.
even more security.
Yes.
Yeah. He's not thinking about the vote now. He's like, I'm hosting Survivor.
Literally.
Yes.
I am Jeff's successor.
Yeah, to the point that we go to do votes and
Rome throws a hinky vote.
he's so confident in the Saul vote that he throws out just like, let's cause some more chaos.
He literally is like, Saul, I am so confident you're going home.
You're going, I don't need
I'm going to throw out
need to
a
give you a
vote
vote.
for Sam.
Yeah,
What?
right.
And then we see almost every other vote cast.
Just about.
To even here, I'm like, are they going to play the amulet on Rome?
No.
What is
But
happening?
I know. I was like, wait, did I like lost it in my notes. Like I couldn't keep up with how many votes we saw.
I know.
I was like, did we see them all? We did not, but
Yeah.
like it felt like it. We saw
Really,
so many.
Rome votes and a couple of Andy votes as expected. Or
We only saw
at least one Andy vote.
Yeah. But then they're going to play the amulet. We have to all three stand up and we're
Yeah.
going to get this show. And I'm like, what are they even doing?
I
It's
know.
obviously pointless.
Yeah. They're just burning it.
Yep.
They use it on Teeny, and she's like, cool, thanks. Any
was like,
votes
why?
cast for Teeny will not count. There are no votes cast for Teeny.
Why didn't they play it for Andy? Oh, this is a question I need to ask somebody. Because
But that was their backup plan.
right. So were they really hoping
In case, like,
just in
they don't want to
case?
do that in case, like, Rome then stands up and it's like, well, I have an idol.
Yeah, I guess so.
So,
Yeah. I
anyway.
was like, if they cared, they would have done it for Andy, but I guess they didn't care.
No. They burned it on Teeny,
Yeah.
and then we get the votes. And, of course, there's a Sam vote, and I think everyone's a little bit like, huh? When did Sam come into this?
Why did Andy vote in German? I honestly was like, is Andy German?
Put that in your questions
Is
for him
Rome
when he gets
German?
eliminated.
Look, I'm entertained, but why German? What?
It makes no sense.
And he was like, well, I know for Annika, I had a really great line. So what am I going to do for Rome? German?
Maybe he's been voting in a different language all season and we just haven't seen it.
Oh my God, I hope so. Oh my God.
Or maybe he's been voting in German all season and this is just our first time.
Oh God. Y'all remind me to ask these questions. What was that?
So funny.
Okay, anyway.
So we get a Sam and then we get an Andy. And then we get a second Andy, which I was not expecting.
No, was not expecting that. Turns out it was Sue,
So,
which I assumed they were like, let's get a couple in there.
yeah. I'm sure we'll get some sort of
Yeah.
explanation next episode. But then it's a Rome. And immediately he's a little like head tilt.
Oh yeah, one vote and he was like, how dare you.
But the second one and then the third one.
Yeah, that's it.
And he is... I've never seen someone crash faster from Cloud Nine.
Yeah.
Like, he was up here riding high. This is the best night of my life.
Absolutely.
To realizing it's all over and these people played you.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's tough.
It was. I was really happy he had that high moment because I was like, oh man, it's about to crash. But yeah, you know when you get like someone else, then you.
Oh.
Yeah, that's it.
We all know how this goes.
Yeah.
We all know how the producers organize these things. Like, and they just run out the vote, and Rome is gone. And he's actually incredibly gracious on the way out. And he's like, pleasure to play with you guys. Good luck, you know?
Yeah, he was very
He's
polite.
not nasty on the way
No.
out, even though this is a blindside on the level of what happened to Annika the previous episode.
Yeah.
He had no idea this was coming.
Well, that's not what he says, but I agree. I don't think he saw this coming.
Yeah.
You're right, Chris. Very good point. Teeny was the one that gave up her vote to get that advantage.
Oh.
So you might as well play it on Teeny.
Fair. Okay. Got
That's
it.
smart. Yeah. Yeah, I think this was a blindside. I think he did not see this coming. He really thought he was masterminding some stuff.
Yeah.
But we knew.
We know.
We knew as soon as he was going to hit the joint beach, like there's just not enough
yeah.
numbers to back up that kind of chaos.
And Saul has to be just tickled pink that this is happening.
Oh yeah, I think he was kind of
wrote
like,
it out. Yeah, of course. And he's like, I didn't even have to vote for him.
yeah.
I voted for Andy.
Like what?
So we're
Oh,
over.
Andy was like, was I the backup vote?
And Sam, too, I think was like, excuse me?
Right. So I think it'll be funny because they're not going to know it was Rome that did Sam.
Yeah.
Sam's going to be paranoid.
Yeah.
Andy's going to be pissed.
Uh-huh.
And if he finds out that Sam knew he was the backup vote, this isn't good.
I mean, look.
This is going to backfire for sure.
Yeah, but look.
What?
Rome and Andy are like kind of
No,
similar players to me.
Nope.
In terms of the chaos in the game. So...
David, I think you are missing that Andy is clearly a final three player.
No, I do believe that for this season.
Thank you.
But I also believe that he is like a goat that they're just going to bring there.
That is very possible.
And he's messy. Sorry, but like he has not played a clean game so far. And the same, I'm just saying like in terms of messiness of game.
Okay.
Rome and Andy are right here for me.
Oh.
And but I definitely, 100, as soon as Andy survived that first obvious time to send him home and he didn't, I'm like, this guy's gonna last the whole thing.
Oh yeah, I think he's in this for a long time, and that's why when I'm like, oh Sam, this is gonna backfire on you because you're seen as a potential threat, right?
Yeah.
If you put Sam and Andy next to each other, no, and you can take Andy out anytime. We hear that all the time.
Oh yeah.
But you're going to take Sam out.
Yeah.
I think that this is going to backfire on Sam for sure.
Wow.
But that's going to be funny. But also, okay, first off, Sala is attractive.
Oh, he's very attractive.
And then his little sly smirks are cute. But also he said he has never meditated so much in his life to just survive camp. And that's hot. So
Self-care
I am
is
like,
hot.
Yeah. If you meditate, I'm like, hi.
Uh-huh.
So what I'm saying is I'm liking Saul more and more.
So you're liking Saul.
Yeah.
I'm Team Kyle.
Yeah.
I love that we have our guys this season.
We have our guys.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Can we get a draft update?
You absolutely can.
I would love, because my guy Kyle is on my draft team and he won that individual immunity. So I'm like,
Look,
where
David,
are we
you're
at?
doing okay.
I'm okay.
With
okay.
40. You're in the play.
Ooh, I'm squarely in third place. I'm right in the middle. Okay.
I'm at 48, just slightly ahead of you.
Okay.
Claire said she was back for redemption, and she is doing it.
She is.
She is in the lead with 54 points.
She's consistent, which is good. Look at those scores on her team. But I gotta say,
Chantel.
Kyle is the number one point getter so far. So
I don't know if Chantel's still here. She was here earlier, but
hi,
this is
Chantel.
going to be another one of those seasons where she's just mad at us.
how's the audience doing?
Because she isn't winning. She's way behind. The audience had Rome and Sue.
Oh wow.
They're not doing great.
Mm-hmm. Especially now that Rome's gone.
But honestly, they're doing better than Chantel.
Oh my God, she has one person left.
She has Genevieve
But
left.
Genevieve might win.
But literally, Genevieve could be the winner, and and she will once again be like, "Why am I got the winner and not winning?"
It's not good for this narrative about your drafts being rigged.
Right? The audience is down to one person as well, but they have 34 points. They're doing better than Chantel.
All right.
Right, there she is.
Yeah.
Team
Oh,
Kyle.
All right. Well, good episode.
Right.
Rome's gone.
I
I
mean-
think plenty of people are probably pretty pleased that Rome is gone.
Look, I get that people are pleased because he took out Asia and he talked to Saul kind of rudely.
Yeah.
But also people
He had a difficult
have
edit.
been begging for a villain. He is like an
know.
old school survivor player.
When
And
he was doing that rant and
thought that's what people
confessional about
liked.
Jordan versus whatever, I'm like, this is like icon level villain edit, you know? But for him to then go away, I don't think he's necessarily going to go down in the history books at this point because, like, he got voted out at the merge.
pre-merged, but
Like, Gabe, I think, has the potential to be a bigger long-term villain of the season.
I think Rome is a character like none other. I was thoroughly entertained.
100%.
By Rome.
He gave us so much fodder
So
to talk
much.
about. And he was such a good sport, I have to say, about
such a
our
good
level
sport.
of roasting him on our
Yes.
recaps. He watched, he commented sometimes, and he just let that roll right off his back in your interview with him.
Yes, he still took the interview with me. I appreciate that.
He did reference it.
And he referenced
He was
it.
like, yeah, I saw you guys roast me.
And I was like, thanks for publicly telling people you watch. Thank you so much, Rome.
Thanks for being a fan.
Thanks for being a fan. No, I genuinely enjoyed him as a character. My gosh, I would much prefer you be overly confident and not paranoid.
Yeah.
And like miss those cues.
Yeah.
Than paranoid. Like honestly, I'm like not enjoying Sue because she's too paranoid.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, Rome is way more fun to watch.
No, I'm very entertained by Sue still.
Okay. Yes, Q and Rome back to back.
Yeah,
Love
that
it.
was so good.
Yeah. That's right. You took Annika over Rome or Sue. I mean, I don't know. I don't know which one was going to get you more
what's
points.
worse, really.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
None of them are winning.
Yeah. Right.
I don't think. Just my guess. But anyway, yes, I think that some people are happy he's out, but I think we were lucky to have 6 episodes where he was the star.
He was the star of the show.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens next. I don't even really remember the preview for next time.
They were all sort of like, Andy was mad. The girls were like, let's get a guy out. And I was like, y'all just to get a guy out.
Oh, yeah. It was about, we got to get the boys.
And it just was like vague, let's go. It was very not.
Yeah.
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 Anyway. Oh, let's talk about that hideous immunity necklace.
Now, not a bad word about Kyle on this. Stop it.
No, not Kyle. The immunity necklace.
Oh, the immunity. I was like, I thought we were talking about the
No.
tattoo,
His bad tattoo,
which, to
love
be fair,
it.
is also hideous.
No, whatever.
But,
I don't care about your tattoo. That's fine.
no, everyone is like, this immunity necklace is the ugliest one of all time.
Except the people in the game were like, I love it.
I kind of liked it. It's dramatic.
It is dramatic. It's a very Scorpio season. It's like appropriate for right now. But I was like, I would not. I'd be like, Jeff, I'm not even wearing this. You can put it on my hand.
I will hold it
yes.
at my side like a clutch
carry
bag.
It like this.
Yeah.
And that's all you're getting from me.
Oh, we're going to see a lot of that necklace this season. So.
They're like, I love it. I was like, no, you don't. But that was interesting that he had a bat tattoo. That's funny.
Yeah.
Yes, this cast is amazing. I'm loving it.
It is good. I'm enjoying this season a lot.
All right, we'll be back next week. Per usual, thank you to everyone who was here in the chat.
Yes.
We love you.
And if you're joining us later, let us know how you felt about Rome's rise and fall, Sue's idol red paint debacle, and how are things going to settle now that we're in the merge? Where do you see the alliances falling? Let us know your thoughts.
Is Kyle a comp beast? Let us know. Oh, please watch the exit interview with Rome if you have not yet. All right, we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.